Hello, good morning, everybody. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Podcast. I did a video earlier and got 3 minutes into it, and I said, why don't I hook up my handy-dandy little microphone? It does it so much better, and you don't have a lot of background noise in it. So hopefully you guys can hear this and it works out okay. So today we're going to talk about TAMPO. It is, I do want to say it's a beautiful day out today, a little humid out today, and it is, I would say, temperature-wise, 85 degrees. It is going to get a hot one out there today, and of course it'll probably rain. But today, I want to talk about TAMPO and get in depth with it. I did a video yesterday briefly on it, and I want to talk a little bit more about it and kind of get some ideas about it, because as you know, we sometimes don't realize in relationships how things can change rapidly. I have some friends of mine. I made some notes on my phone, and so I want to talk about that. And we're going to talk about this gentleman named Tim, and he's really having a problem with TAMPO with his wife. And what reason, he said, what reason would it be, you know, really relevant that day that it seems like it's getting to be more and more? And I think a lot of times TAMPO can occur with male and female here, and it also occurs in the United States of America. TAMPO is something that is, it happens to everybody. I just happen to be one of those lucky ones that God has blessed me with. Wake up happy and go to bed happy. Do I have problems? Yes, but I try not to bring that into it. I taught myself early on not to bring emotions into a lot of business decisions and not to get too emotional about things. But sometimes you just can't help being emotional. It just falls out that way. But I want to talk a little bit about TAMPO and the way that maybe you can help, and can you cure it? I don't know if there's a cure. It's like anything else. Some people say, like Tim for an example, well, I'm getting tired of it, I'm going to leave her. And he says it's been going on now for 3 years. He's tired of it. He said, I wake up sometimes and she goes to bed angry, she wakes up angry. And I said, well, the key is never let anybody go to bed angry. And if you can't help it, you just can't help it. If she goes to bed angry, that's on her. But if she happens in a situation she's not willing to talk to you, maybe the relationship has gone to a different stage. So you really have to take the time and really develop that relationship and decide what is the best thing to do, because you don't really know. You know, you really just don't know what is the best thing to do. And I know for me, it's really hard that way to make that decision if Ruth had that all the time. Now, there are times where we've had problems ourselves. I mean, our life is not perfect, and I don't claim it to be. And sure, there's times where she gets upset, or I think she's upset, and she's really not upset at all. And there are times that I get upset, and she don't know I'm upset. But as a foreigner, we pretty well tell it like it is. We just lay it out there and tell it like it is. And a lot of Filipino just can't understand that and don't understand what that's about. But overall, in general, I think if you look at it as just life, living life, you're gonna have people are not going to agree with everything you have to say. So you have to really take the time and make decisions that way. What is best for you? I know for me, Ruth and I have sat down and we talked about things and in detail and figure out why you're upset or I'm upset or whatever's going on. And I think that's what you really have to do. To throw away someone or all that time and effort, whether you spent 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 10 years, or 20 years, it's kind of hard to throw that away. And all the things that you've built during that time, how do you throw all the things away? How do you throw away your houses, your cars, and the money and the trips, and how you throw that away? So it's always better to talk. But if it gets to where the male and or female is getting to a point to where uncontrollable behavior, you got to cut the cord. You got to get out of that. Never be in a toxic relationship with someone if they don't appreciate who you are and don't appreciate the things that you do for them, or you appreciate the things that they do for you. And that's a two-way street. If someone does something for me I always tell them, and I expect them to do the same to me if I do something for them. It's human nature. Now, we go through in the Western lifestyle, people will care and they don't care. They will care about certain things, and sometimes they really don't care if you care or not. And that's the way it is in that culture. But that's one of the reasons why I'm here. But then on the other hand, you lay it out on the table and you can solve any problems. You don't have lingering things that's happening that lingers on for long periods of time. And that's what happens. I find that is something that it happens quite a bit, and people don't really realize how to control it. But Tim has had a problem with his wife now, and he's gotten to the point, he's talked to her. She says, it's okay. And then she gets mad at him for something, whatever. And I said, is it immaturity on her part? Or is it immaturity on your part? Her part or your part? He said, well, it's really immaturity on her. I said, I'm not perfect, but I tell her something I did tell me so I can solve it. If I can't solve it, how can I fix it? I want to fix it. So he said he sits down and talks to her, but it's not really worked out very well for him. So I think what you have to do in that instance, if it's not working out for you, seek counseling. And if you're not willing to seek counseling, you get to the next step. But a lot of people are willing to go that next step and seek counseling, because I think everybody sometimes gets in a rut. And if you're married 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, sometimes you get in a rut. And you really don't want to lose all the time and efforts that you spent together and all the things that you've done. There had to be some good times for you to be together for the 3 years. So basically what I told Tim, I said, I'm no expert, but I would think that if you've talked to her and there's no results and she's not really bending and helping and, helping with her attitude, well, you have to go to the next step. Don't live in a toxic relationship, no matter what. Don't put yourself in a relationship that's toxic. If that person's not talking to you or that person's not doing it, don't do it, because either you live in the pain and agony of living existence, or you live with excitement and joy of being there. And if you don't have that feel-good feeling, is the relationship over? I don't know. Some people say that they require that feel-good feeling all the time. Well, okay, and it's fine. I think early on in a relationship, you're going to have that feel-good feeling no matter what. And you're going to go on, you're going to enjoy yourself, and you're going to maintain that feeling, and you're going to do the very best to have that feeling, whether it's going on trips or doing things or outside the house and going to the movies, going out to eat and things like that. I think everybody needs that daily, weekly trip. If it's a date night away from the kids and the family, maybe it's the kids that's driving her crazy. And I asked him, I said, is it the kids that are driving you crazy? And she had mentioned to him it was drinking. He drinks. He said, I don't drink heavily. I said, what's heavily to you? Everybody says levels of heavily. Heavily is 13 to 15 beers a day. Maybe 20, a case. I had a friend drink a case a day. Easy. Maybe more. But he'd been drinking since 16. And he's in his 40s. He always kept a cooler in the back of his car. It always had 4, 5, 6 cases of beer in it, iced down. And then he had 4, 5, 6 cases around it. So he never was without a beer. He could work a full day, and you never know he was drinking beer. But there are people. So Tim says that my thing is this. I have what they call, I have an afternoon drink. I said, that's fine. Everybody does that, right? So I said, what's an afternoon drink? He said, well, usually I make me a whiskey sour or a dry martini. He found the ingredients. He lives here. He said, I just make me a martini. I'll have a martini or two. That's it. I said, well, do you get drunk? He goes, no. I don't get drunk, and I don't say any words. I'm not mean. I'm not mad. I don't do anything. The kids run around. I decide to have a drink because it calms me down. Because the kids will drive you crazy. They're running around like crazy. And they're my kids. They're not, kids that step kids. He said, these are my kids, 2 kids. So he said, I just have a couple drinks, okay? And so she got mad for the 2 drinks. He said, well, sometimes there'll be a party, and I may overdrink a little. I said, okay, just limit your drinks then. But for 2 drinks and overdrink, it's telling me that that's maybe it, maybe not it. Or she's such religious that she just don't like you drinking. So that, you have to get into that. And that may be it. Maybe she's just so religious she don't like you drinking at all. And being religious and drinking is not the way, just because you're Christian does not mean either way. You know what I mean? So if you're drinking, you're drinking. There's a lot of Christians that drink. There's a lot of Christians that don't drink. So being a Christian does not mean if you drink, you're not a Christian. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that some people look at it that way. So, because, hey, if you have God in your life, number one, and you do it in moderation, there's nothing wrong with anything that you do. Unless you're just smoking cigars up crazy and you're drinking and partying all day and night, that will matter a lot. And I think you have to look at that. So Tim said that I'm not really sure what to do next. And I said, well, if you talk to her and talk to her and talk to her, and she still has TAMPO. He said, we'll go 2 weeks of the month. And he says, just wonderful. Then I got a week of period, menstruation. Then I got a week of just pure sanity. I said, what's that mean? He says, well, 2 weeks of good, 1 week of this, of bad, 1 week of bad, sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks bad, 1 week good. He said, sometimes I have 1 week good, or 1 day, or 5 days good. I said, well, what did you talk to her? Maybe she needs to go to the doctor. So I told him to check out all the evidence. Maybe she needs to go to the doctor, or maybe she needs to figure out what that is. But I'm thinking in general, overall, he's not the only one that has a problem with that. There's so many. I just don't want to say it. A lot of vloggers having a problem with it to this day. They won't say it. I know of 5 vloggers in Dumaghetti's having that problem right now. And I cannot and will not say their names. I know of 5 is having that problem right now. And I know of some in Manila having the same problem with their ladies and the conflict and them drinking and or partying and or this and or that and or the guys looking at girls and or this and or that. And I asked them that. You looking at girls? Well, no, online. Does she got a problem with it? I said, well, no, she shouldn't. If she trusts you, she trusts you. Sounds like to me there's some underlying issues she may have. You need to work that out. Take her to the doctor. Can't work it out, then go to the next step. Don't live in toxic. If it has to where you have to leave, leave. Really. There's no worry in the world that you're going to stay in. It's a ship and it's got 50 holes in it and you're trying to plug up all the holes. You don't have enough fingers and toes. Forget it. You're better off going and living by yourself in a tent on the side of the road than going through that every day. At least you wake up every day and you have to worry about food. But other than that, and shelter, that's it. If you have, it's like I always say it, as long as I have food and I have shelter and a means of transportation and gas and a little money, that's all I care about. It's true. I've said this to Ruth the other day. I said, you can look at it this way. I mean, this shirt right here is probably 15 years old. Still wearable. No holes. I'm not a person of monetarily things. I was at one time, though. So I had the houses and I had the cars. One time I had 5 cars. Had more than that one time also, but they weren't all running. But I had 5 cars that are running, pristine condition. Some old cars, 67 Chevelle, 67 Mustang. They're all running perfectly. And I would fix them and sell them and buy them and go to auctions and do whatever just to make a couple of bucks. But the thing back in those days, though, it was different lifestyle, different environment, different thing all the way around. And it's different now today. I mean, everybody's getting so commercialized. You used to do this, and you can't do that anymore. You used to could go over here, and you could do this. You can't do that anymore because people ruin it. You used to go to public parks, and you can't go in them anymore because stupid people take garbage and throw them out on the ground. And so you can't even go down and sit anymore with the drinking you have without somebody yelling and screaming, hey, no drinks in this park. Yeah, up in Ormond. That's what it was. You can't even take any drinks. Why can't I take drinks? Well, you can't take drinks up here because people throwing them on the ground. And we're tired of picking up all the trash. He said bags and bags and bags of trash. It's like, really? Okay. But that's the way it is. And that's the same thing here in the Philippines. People ruin it for other people. You can walk down the street right now and a kid's throwing trash on the ground. Takes paper, rip it open, throw it on the ground. They're never taught. And that's the parents' fault, right? And school's fault, too. School needs to teach kids that also. Parents aren't doing it. School needs to tell them also, hey, get out there and clean that garbage up and don't throw it on the ground. You should not do that. Don't litter. But same thing in a relationship. You should always be honest and try to state it and work it out. I mean, and I think that's what Tim's going to do. He's going to try to make some ditch efforts to make it work. And if he can do it, he's going to do that. And I really wish him the best. And I want to thank everybody. This is Tim. There's many other stories. Her name is Marcel. And she's married to a Indian. And Marcel messaged me, the lady, and says, my Indian is not taking care of me. What do I do? So I sent her an email back. What do you mean he's not taking care of me? Financially, monetarily, the whole 9 yards. And I think he has 2 or 3 girlfriends. And I said, here? Are you here? Yeah, we're here. Up in Manila. Cavite. So, conversations back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Long story short, her situation is a lot like Tim's situation. He's distant. He's got the girlfriends. She doesn't want to divorce him because, which you can't get divorced anyway, but they can't over in India. But they don't want a divorce because she has all the comforts. She has house, she has car, she has all the things. What do you do? Well, I'm no marriage counselor. I don't know what to do. So that's going to be the next video coming up with Marcel. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'll see you guys next time on Tom and Ruth Podcast.